What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors gets disrespected on live television by a host who forgot her place? It only took 36 seconds for Jennifer Hudson to destroy her own interview with a comment so offensive that Denzel Washington had no choice but to walk off her stage. But before we get into this absolute train wreck of an interview, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now because we're pulling back the curtain on Hollywood's dark side, exposing entitled celebrities and their shocking behavior the cameras never showed you. We've got the raw footage they don't want you to see, and you won't want to miss a single reveal. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think about this outrageous behavior. The Jennifer Hudson Show was supposed to be a feel-good daytime talk show, light conversations, celebrity guests promoting their latest projects, maybe some singing, some laughs, standard stuff. But what happened when Denzel Washington sat down on that couch was anything but standard. Denzel walked out to massive applause. The audience was on their feet. This is Denzel Washington we're talking about, two-time Academy Award winner, a living legend, the kind of actor that commands respect the moment he enters a room. He sat down, smiled at Jennifer, waved to the crowd. Everything seemed fine. Jennifer started off normal enough. "Denzel, thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to have you on the show." Denzel, always gracious, nodded. "Thank you for having me. It's good to be here." "So, you've got this new film coming out," Jennifer said, glancing at her notes. "Tell us about it." Denzel leaned forward, clearly passionate about his work. "Yeah, it's a project I've been wanting to do for years. It's about redemption, second chances. It's a story about a man who made mistakes but is trying to make things right. It's powerful. It's real." Jennifer nodded, but there was something off about her energy. She seemed distracted, like she wasn't really listening. That sounds nice. "So, Denzel, let me ask you something." Here's where things started to shift. Denzel looked at her, waiting. "You've been in this industry for, what, like 40 years now?" Denzel smiled slightly. "Something like that? Yes." Right, Jennifer said. And then she laughed. Not a friendly laugh. A laugh that had an edge to it. "I mean, you've been around forever." The audience got quiet. You could feel it. That comment landed weird. Denzel's smile faded just a little bit, but he stayed professional. "I've been blessed to have a long career, yes." Jennifer kept going. "No, I mean, like, you've been doing this since, what, the 80s? That's crazy. Most people would have retired by now." Denzel shifted in his seat. His jaw tightened. You could see it. But he kept his composure. "I love what I do. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon." "Well, yeah, but don't you ever think, like, maybe it's time to let the younger generation have their moment?" Jennifer said this with a smirk, like she thought she was being funny. Like this was a joke. The audience gasped, quietly, but you could hear it. This wasn't playful banter anymore. This was disrespectful. Denzel stared at her for a moment. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "I'm sorry, what did you just say?" Jennifer, either oblivious or deliberately pushing buttons, doubled down. "I'm just saying, there's so many young actors out there trying to get their shot, and here you are still taking up space in every major movie. Don't you think that's a little, selfish?" Dead silence. The audience didn't know how to react. Denzel sat back in his chair, processing what he just heard. He looked at her like he couldn't believe those words just came out of her mouth. "Selfish," he repeated slowly, like he was making sure he heard her correctly. Jennifer shrugged. "I mean, yeah, like, you've already won all the awards. You've already made all the money. Why not step aside and let someone else shine?" Denzel took a deep breath. You could see him deciding how to handle this. He could have exploded. He could have gone off. But that's not who Denzel is. He stays calm. He stays dignified. "Jennifer, with all due respect, I've earned my place in this industry. I've worked hard for decades. I've put in the time, the effort, the sacrifice. Nobody handed me anything. And I don't owe anyone an apology for still being here." Jennifer rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes on her own show at Denzel Washington. "Okay, but don't you think it's kind of unfair that you keep getting all these roles when there's younger talent that could use the opportunity?" Denzel's voice dropped lower, calm but firm. "Unfair? You think it's unfair that I continue to work? That I continue to challenge myself? That I continue to tell stories that matter?" "I'm just saying," Jennifer interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. "Maybe it's time to hang it up. You've had your run. That was it. That was the moment." Denzel stared at her for a long second, then stood up. He didn't say a word at first. He just stood up, took off his microphone, and placed it gently on the couch. Jennifer looked confused. "Wait, what are you doing?" Denzel looked at her, his face stone cold. "I don't have to sit here and be disrespected by someone who clearly doesn't understand what it means to earn your place in this business." Jennifer's eyes went wide. She realized she messed up. "Denzel, wait, I was just joking." "No," Denzel said firmly. "You weren't joking. You were being disrespectful. And I'm not going to sit here and let you disrespect me on your show in front of all these people." The audience was frozen. Nobody moved. Nobody made a sound. Jennifer stood up, trying to recover. "Denzel, come on, don't leave. I didn't mean it like that." Denzel shook his head. "Yes, you did. You meant every word, and that's fine, but I don't have to stay here and listen to it." He started walking toward the exit. Jennifer followed him, her voice getting more desperate. "Denzel, please, let's just talk about this." Denzel stopped and turned around. "Talk about what? Talk about how you think I should retire because younger actors deserve my roles? Talk about how you think I'm selfish for continuing to work? There's nothing to talk about, Jennifer." "I was just trying to have a conversation," Jennifer said, her voice shaking now. "No," Denzel said, his voice calm but cutting. "You were trying to make yourself look clever at my expense, and it backfired." Jennifer tried one more time. "Denzel, come on, don't do this. We can move on. Let's talk about something else." Denzel looked at her with pity. "Almost. You had one of the most respected actors in Hollywood sitting on your couch, and you chose to insult him. That's on you." And with that, he walked off the stage. The audience didn't know whether to clap or stay silent. Most stayed silent. Jennifer stood there, frozen, watching him leave. Her producers were scrambling. You could see crew members in the background panicking, trying to figure out what to do. Jennifer turned back to the audience, forcing a smile that looked absolutely painful. "Well, we're going to take a quick break." But the damage was done. The entire interview was a disaster, and it was all because Jennifer Hudson forgot who she was talking to. She forgot that respect is earned, and Denzel Washington has earned more respect than most people in Hollywood ever will. Let's break down what went wrong here, because this wasn't just a bad interview. This was a masterclass in how not to treat a guest. First of all, Jennifer's comments about Denzel's age and career were completely out of line. You don't tell a legend that they should retire. You don't tell someone who has worked their entire life to get where they are that they're taking up space. That's disrespectful. That's rude. And that's exactly what she did. Second, the way she doubled down when Denzel tried to respond with grace was even worse. She could have apologized. She could have said, "Hey, I phrased that wrong." But instead, she kept pushing. She kept making it worse. She acted like she was doing him a favor by pointing out that younger actors exist, as if Denzel Washington doesn't know that. As if he hasn't spent his entire career mentoring younger actors, producing films, creating opportunities for the next generation. Third, and this is the biggest issue, Jennifer acted entitled. She acted like she had the right to talk to Denzel however she wanted because it's her show. But that's not how respect works. Just because you have a talk show doesn't mean you get to disrespect your guests. Denzel didn't need to be on that show. He was doing her a favor by showing up, and she threw it back in his face. Now let's talk about how Denzel handled it, because this is important. He didn't yell, he didn't curse, he didn't lose his temper, he simply stood up and left. That's power. That's self-respect. He knew his worth, and he wasn't going to let anyone, not even a talk show host, diminish that. He gave her multiple chances to course correct. He responded with patience and professionalism, but when it became clear that she wasn't going to stop, he made the decision to remove himself from the situation. And that's exactly what you should do when someone disrespects you. You don't owe them your presence. Some people might say Denzel overreacted. Some people might say he should have just laughed it off. But why? Why should he have to sit there and smile while someone insults him? Why should he have to pretend that disrespect is okay just because it's on television? He shouldn't, and he didn't. Jennifer Hudson made a massive mistake. She let her ego get in the way of what could have been a great interview. She had the opportunity to sit down with a legend and learn from him, to hear his stories, to understand his journey. Instead, she tried to make herself look important by tearing him down, and it completely backfired. The audience saw it, the viewers at home saw it, and Denzel saw it. He didn't need to explain himself. He didn't need to justify his career. He simply walked away with his dignity intact while Jennifer was left standing on her own stage, looking foolish. This moment shows you everything you need to know about character. Denzel Washington has built a career on hard work, talent, and respect. He's never had to tear anyone down to build himself up. He's always carried himself with class, and when someone tried to disrespect him, he handled it the way a true professional does, calmly, firmly, and decisively. Jennifer, on the other hand, showed that fame doesn't equal respect. Having a talk show doesn't mean you're untouchable, and if you disrespect your guests, especially someone like Denzel Washington, you're going to face the consequences. She learned that lesson the hard way. What makes this even more frustrating is that Jennifer should know better. She's been in the industry for years. She's worked with legends. She knows what it takes to earn respect in Hollywood, but in that moment, she forgot all of that. She let her ego take over, and it cost her. Denzel's walk-off wasn't just about that one comment. It was about the principle. It was about standing up for himself and refusing to be treated like he didn't matter. And that's a lesson everyone should learn. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, or what the situation is. If someone disrespects you, you have every right to remove yourself from that environment. The fact that Denzel stayed as calm as he did is remarkable. Most people would have lost their temper. Most people would have said things they'd regret later. But Denzel kept his composure. He made his point without raising his voice. He walked away without burning any bridges. That's maturity. That's strength. Jennifer tried to save face after he left, but there was no recovering from that. The interview was over the moment she made that first comment about his age. Everything after that was just damage control, and it didn't work. The audience wasn't buying it. The viewers at home weren't buying it, and Denzel certainly wasn't buying it. This whole situation could have been avoided if Jennifer had just done her job. If she had asked thoughtful questions, listened to his answers, and treated him with the respect he deserves, this would have been a great interview. But instead, she decided to be clever. She decided to push buttons, and she paid the price. Now, some people are defending Jennifer, saying she was just trying to ask tough questions. But there's a difference between asking tough questions and being disrespectful. A tough question would be something like, "Denzel, how do you feel about the changing landscape of Hollywood and the push for more diversity in leading roles?" That's a legitimate question that could lead to an interesting conversation. But saying, "Don't you think it's selfish that you're still taking roles from younger actors?" is not a tough question. That's an insult disguised as a question. And that's what makes this whole thing so infuriating. Jennifer wasn't trying to have a real conversation. She was trying to create a moment. She wanted a viral clip. She wanted people to talk about her show. Well, she got what she wanted. People are talking about her show, but not in the way she hoped. They're talking about how she disrespected Denzel Washington and got called out for it. Denzel didn't owe her anything. He didn't owe her an explanation. He didn't owe her forgiveness. He simply made the decision that his time and his dignity were more valuable than sitting on that couch for another second. And he was absolutely right. This moment is a reminder that respect is non-negotiable. It doesn't matter how famous you are, how successful you are, or how long you've been in the industry. If you disrespect people, eventually it's going to catch up with you. Jennifer learned that the hard way. Denzel Washington walked off that stage with his head held high. He didn't lose anything in that moment. If anything, he gained even more respect from people who watched it happen. He showed the world that he knows his worth, and he's not willing to compromise it for anyone. Not for a talk show, not for publicity, not for anything. Jennifer, on the other hand, lost a lot that day. She lost the respect of her audience. She lost the opportunity to have a meaningful conversation with a legend. And she lost the chance to learn from someone who has been at the top of his game for decades. The whole situation is a perfect example of what happens when ego gets in the way of professionalism. Jennifer let her ego convince her that she could say whatever she wanted because it's her show. But she forgot that respect goes both ways. Just because you're the host doesn't mean you get to disrespect your guests. And Denzel reminded her of that in the most powerful way possible, by walking away. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Simple. Treat people with respect. It doesn't matter who they are or what they've accomplished. Respect is the foundation of every interaction. And if you can't give someone basic respect, then you don't deserve their time. Denzel Washington didn't need to make a scene. He didn't need to yell or argue. He simply stood up, took off his microphone, and walked away. And that said more than any angry speech ever could. It said, "I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table, and I'm not going to let you disrespect me." Jennifer Hudson learned a valuable lesson that day. Or at least, she should have. You can have all the success in the world, but if you don't treat people with respect, it doesn't mean anything. Denzel has spent his entire career earning respect, and he's not going to let anyone take that away from him. Not even a talk show host who forgot her place. This interview will be remembered for all the wrong reasons. It won't be remembered as a great conversation with a Hollywood icon. It'll be remembered as the time Jennifer Hudson disrespected Denzel Washington and he walked off her show. And honestly, she deserved it. Denzel Washington is a class act. He always has been, and he always will be. And this moment proved it once again. He didn't lose his cool. He didn't sink to her level. He simply made the decision to leave. And in doing so, he showed everyone watching what real dignity looks like. So, drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Was Denzel right to walk off? Should Jennifer have apologized? And would you have done the same thing in his position? Let us know your thoughts, because this is one of those moments that really makes you think about respect, professionalism, and knowing when to walk away.